So, yay, good morning. Dr. Shelley here with Orgasmical Medicine with my lovely friend slash client slash host in Dallas, Texas, Donna Hall.
Hello.
How are you this morning, beautiful?
Wonderful. Excited to be on this video with you.
I know, yay, I'm so happy to have you here. So, today's conversation is all about relationships, sex, and orgasms, the three most taboo topics that people really dislike talking about. And Donna was one of those people when she first approached me. She had some barriers and limitations around these three subjects. So Donna, would you like just a few? Would you like to enlighten everybody as to where you were with all of the beliefs that you had about relationships, sex, and orgasms, and maybe even me when you first met me?
Yep. Well, I mean, before I met you, first of all, I came from this, very religious place in my own life. And not only that, but of course, everything that my parents always said, everything that I always heard from public, everything always heard about safe sex, everything I always heard about relationships. And basically, in a nutshell, when I contacted you, which was after about a year of knowing you, I contacted you because I was in a completely sexless relationship with my husband, and I knew it needed to change, or I needed to get out of the relationship. And if I got out of the relationship, I still wanted that to change because I didn't want to recreate that in a new relationship. And so I've been asking, who can help me change this? And who knows something about this that I don't know, or that I don't know that I know yet? And then all of a sudden I got this wonderful email from you, and I was like, no, anybody but Shelley, please not Shelley. She's really far out there, and I don't think I can handle that. But I was so clear that it was you. So I remember just texting you or messaging you and telling you, okay, here's what I got going on. I've been asking this question, and you showed up, and I need to just let you know where I've been. And where I had been was that sex was really not that important to me. I really honestly remember thinking that I could go the rest of my life without sex and it was totally fine. I did not require it. I did not need it. It really didn't do that much for me. I remember one time my husband was telling me, I just wish you really wanted to have sex with me. And I remember telling him, I think sex is sort of like exercise, It's like when I'm having sex, it feels really nice. And after I have sex, I'm like, wow, that was really great. I should do that more often because I know it's healthy and it helps me and I'm happy when I'm doing it. But then the next night, I've gone through my day with my kid and my life, and I'm in bed. And even though I might recall that I thought it was really good the night before when I did it, in this moment I'm like, yeah, I'm too tired, Which is kind of how exercise is. Like I exercise, I feel fabulous, I feel great, I'm on fire, I have endorphins going. I'm like, I should exercise every day. Why don't I do this every day? And then the next morning I wake up, I'm like, yeah, I'm too tired, And so it was like, how do I shift out of that? Where it actually is important to me on the same level that it apparently is important to him. And then another thing I had about saying, did enjoy being sexual in the beginning of a relationship, but then once I got the relationship, I noticed that the sex wasn't that important anymore. And what that showed me was that I used sex in order to get into a relationship. And that was really it. Let me look. I'm just kind of reading through some of these things that I say because it's so not my reality now. It's hard for me to remember.
You're like, wait a second, I wrote that?
This is not even a year ago, Shelley.
I know.
Let's see. My husband wants sex, and if I don't want sex at the same time, it must mean that I don't love him in his world. So I must have sex with him so that he can't accuse me of not loving him. But then sex became an obligation, and I didn't want to do it. And then I was pissed off and resentful that he can't believe that I love him unless my hands are all over him or I'm having intercourse with him. That was a reality I had before I talked to you. And then, my mom and my dad never slept in the same room. And I always heard my mom saying the only reason he would come to the room is if he wanted sex. So somewhere in there, I just made up all sorts of judgments about men and women and sex. Like, men don't really want you unless they want sex. And then them wanting sex is not really wanting you. So I made that lie up. In religion, of course, I could not be sexy because it would make a man have a thought about me. And I didn't want to cause a man to think something about me that he should not be thinking.
Oh no.
And then I, of course, heard from women all the time that they are too busy for sex, and sex is all their husbands think about. I had many clients, many friends who we would just get together and just rag and rag and rag about this with each other. That their husbands are non-participating partners with kids and house and family stuff who only take from them with sex. Blah, blah, blah. And I totally bought that point of view. That was so my reality with my husband. And then I wanted to shift all of this on one hand, but then I wanted to go back into not caring so much about it. And I think that was the scary part for me. I didn't even know how to shift it, but then it just seemed like a lot of work because this was so my reality for so long. How do you even get out of that, you know? And then if I did care too much about something, then it would throw my life out of balance. So I was afraid to put too much energy into this because then it would make me get distracted and I would lose everything and everything else would just go crazy. And then I'd have to just give it up to get my life back in balance, which was something that I encountered a lot with my husband. It's like, okay, I'll play with you. But then if I play too much, then I seem to neglect my responsibilities. And then I made playing wrong for me neglecting my responsibilities.
Yeah, very interesting points of views. And one of the awarenesses that I've had hearing some of your points of views as well as a lot of other women's points of views about sex and play and how they can't have that in a harmonious balance along with work and responsibility and children and family and house chores and this and that. If sex or pleasure or masturbation, orgasms, anything that brings your body pleasure, if that is considered work, if it's considered it requires time, effort, energy, and I don't have time for that, then how can the thing that you do for work actually ever be pleasurable? So it's almost like a double whammy having these beliefs that sex and pleasure and orgasms are work and that we don't have time for them. Well, then how are the things that we actually do in life on a day-to-day basis, how are they ever supposed to be fun, playful, and pleasurable?
That's so true. I mean, it's really interesting. I had to really be confronted because, I mean, you totally had helped me to step into playing so much larger than I've ever played before. And my life would occur as though it was out of balance. And so one of the most amazing things that you taught me to ask is, why would I be creating this? Like, what is actually the value in creating this? Like, there actually is a value, not like, well, why would you create that, you idiot? That's the way I always heard the question before, which was not empowering, but you taught me to ask it in an empowering way, like, actually look and see why you're creating this. And so I remember one weekend I just took like a week and a half off, and I played. And then as I'm trying to get back home, some chaos occurred. And I wound up I lost my license, I couldn't get on the plane, and then it had me be late to my kid's graduation from kindergarten and all this stuff. And I was like, well, why would I have created all that? And it's like, oh, because I'm like really committed to not having play in my life because I've got to prove that play creates chaos. Mm-hmm. So what if I didn't have to prove that anymore? And I literally in that moment gave up that point of view, wound up making it back to Dallas on time, making it 30 minutes early to my kid's graduation with a present in hand, and like everything happened so smoothly, and I saw, wow, what a lie that was. But it was my lie that was creating it. It's a mind trip.
Yeah.
I gave it that point of view up, and it totally changed it.
And it's that simple. We have all these lies that we've bought into about relationships, sex, orgasms, pleasure, body, play, masturbating, all of these taboo topics that if we just gave them up and we didn't have to be so strict and this is my point of view and it has to be true and it is real and no, it's not a lie, if we could step back and go, is that even working for me? And why am I creating situations and experiences in my life that validate that point of view being true for me when deep down I kind of know it's a lie? But we create these experiences to prove to ourselves that we're right because we'd rather be right than be free. So when you can just acknowledge that, wow, that point of view doesn't work for me, what would it take to just give it up and let it go? And then poof, just like that, your entire reality begins to change. So thank you for sharing that. So Donna, after you've let go of all these points of views and you're starting to tap into a brand new reality around relationships, sex, orgasms, your body, what has been the biggest thing that has changed for you?
The biggest thing. Okay, there's two I can't choose.
You don't have to choose.
One of the biggest things is really noticing how my judgments from the past kept me from so many amazing experiences and so many amazing people. You had asked me about mentioning that my judgments about you. I mean, the first time I met you, which was about a year and a half before I actually contacted you to have you help me with this, I could hardly look at you because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I mean, she's just too sexy. And, like I just made up things like her boob's going to fall out of her shirt if she moves, or and you were totally covered the whole time. And it was just like, I just had to make it dramatic, And then, if she says the word orgasm one more time, really, I mean, does everything have to give me an orgasm for real, And after knowing you and hearing your point of view about it actually, and getting that orgasmic energy is really life force energy, and taking all the taboo and the wrongness out of it, and actually understanding what it actually is and appreciating it, now I can literally walk through my life on days where I just feel like my whole day is an orgasm. And on top of that, the other thing that's really changed in my life is actual orgasm in my body. Like before I met you, I mean, if I had sex, I could have orgasm. I thought it was good. But now what I experience with my body is it's stuff I didn't even know my body could do. It's stuff that lasts way longer. It's stuff that's I'm able to access so much faster. It's stuff that even my partner would say, I've never seen someone's body be able to do these things. It's so much fun. I love playing with your body because of the way your body responds to me. And I'm like, how do you know how to do this thing? But it's part of it's the connection between my partner and I, in asking questions, being willing to let go of our point of views and our judgments about our own bodies, about each other's bodies, about what we can do for each other's bodies, about what we think we can't do for each other's bodies, about what people have told us is possible and what people have told us isn't possible, and literally just being in the question and not being in the judgment of it. And literally new things just show up. I don't even know. New things just show up. It's magic.
It is magic.
Yeah.
And what you said right there about when you let go of all these points of views about the orgasmic energy and does everything have to give me an orgasm? When most people hear orgasmical medicine, they automatically assume it's all about sex and orgasms. However, have you noticed that what I discuss and what I talk about, you said it there, that orgasmic energy is life force energy. So have you noticed a distinction in what I talk about when I say living orgasmically versus orgasm, and how that contributes to the actual physical act of having an orgasm?
Yes and yes.
I know, isn't that amazing? So
yes.
This orgasmic energy that I talk about is life force energy, and the reason I poke you, trigger you, challenge you with these limiting beliefs that we have, which are taboo in reality, is so that we can peel away all of that top layer shit, for lack of better words, that is keeping your life force energy or orgasmic energy or sexual energy bottled up and hidden way down deep in that dark closet that you've locked and you've thrown away the key that you don't even want to look at. Your sexual energy cannot come alive in your body if you have all these beliefs buried on top of it. So we have to acknowledge what beliefs and points of views that we have about sex, orgasms, our body, pleasure, masturbation, to be able to even get to that sexual energy, to tap into it, to harness it, and then use it to transform all aspects of our life, be it our body, our relationships, our own orgasms, money, finances, business. Everything in your life can change once you tap into this energy. Because as Donna was saying, if you're willing to let go of your beliefs and points of views and tap into this aspect of pleasurable living, everything in your life can show up as if by magic. Because that energy of orgasmic energy or life force energy is the energy of creation. It's the energy that creates all of life, including your body. So, with that being said, looking at your relationship, Donna, or however many relationships that people may have once they tap into this energy, the relationships can just keep getting better and better and better because you're connecting with people from a whole new place. You're not connecting from that space of judgment anymore or limitation. You're now connecting from a space of having no point of view, which literally is like connecting based on an open slate, blank slate. There are no preconceived notions. There are no judgments or conclusions about what can be possible. We're showing up free of any of that and open to receiving whatever is possible, which going back to quantum physics, there are an infinite number of possibilities that particles can show up as physical experiences for you. The only thing that limits that is our points of views, our beliefs, and our judgments.
You know, you mentioned something too before about how orgasmic energy can really change your whole reality, like your work, your family, everything. And I noticed when I started stepping into orgasmical energy and having it be a part of my everyday experience, which the one way I did that was, go ahead.
Does that mean you're having orgasms all day long?
Not in the way that people typically think of orgasms.
Exactly.
No. I do own it as the same energy source, you know?
Absolutely.
And the more I can tap into that in my daily life with my clients, with my daughter, with my life. And let me just say, like, I mean, first of all, by being willing to let go of my judgments about it, and be willing to let go of my judgments about me and my friends, my clients, and my family, it allows me to just speak freely and be me. It also allows them to speak freely and be them. And all of a sudden, this magical connection is created with people, and I'm finding things out about their lives because they feel this freedom to be them in front of me because they sense that I don't have a judgment about me anymore. And I also don't have judgments about them. And then it's like all of a sudden they're like tipping me more money than they've ever tipped me. I'm also dressing nicer because I'm being in the energy of just being me and taking care of me and showing up in this reality as a sexual being, yes, but as someone who's alive and happy. Mm-hmm. And people are tipping me more. I'm a massage therapist, and people are tipping me more because I look happy, and they love the energy, you know.
Well,
and I mean, how taboo can it be for me to be talking about sexual energy and being a massage therapist at the same time?
Well, and that's a great point that I wanted to point out there, because when you're being in that energy as a massage therapist, look at the traditional way of receiving a massage. There's a lot of taboos around touching bodies. People, you know, it's almost like when you get a massage, it's very superficial because people don't want to cross any boundaries or barriers for fear of, you know, sexual harassment, sexual charges. I don't want to offend somebody. I don't want to touch their body, or, you know, I got to keep them all covered up because, you know, they're in judgment of their body. But the funny thing about judgment is everybody can feel energetically judgment. So if you're a female massage therapist and you're in judgment of your body, and you have a female client show up on your table, they're going to pick up on your judgment of your body, but it's going to feel like they're judging their body even more. So that judgment just acts as an energetic wedge that pushes that distance between you and the client on your table even further apart. So that level of physical contact, the touch, the connection, there's a distance there. Yeah. So now when you're playing in this energy, that's why they're tipping you more, because there's that connection. They actually feel like you're honoring them and seeing them for who they are without any judgment at all. And that plants the seed for them to actually step out of judgment of themselves. How beautiful is that?
That's very beautiful. It's wonderful. I mean, it's such a more rich way to live my life.
Absolutely.
Even if I'm with my partner, I mean, in my marriage, I had to really look at, was that working for me or not anymore? And it wasn't. So I got out of that relationship, and now I'm in a new relationship. And it's like, really, what is it that allows us to be so connected? It's the willingness to let go of our judgments and our point of views. And then it's that willingness to have that connection with each other, be totally that vulnerable, which creates that desire. And the desire and the willingness and the space of no judgment is what creates that magic connection. And you can create it, yes, with your partner through sex, but you can create it with every individual. Mm-hmm. I can create it with my daughter just by being that space, you know, allowing her to be totally her, allowing me to be totally me around her. And just the connection occurs. And it's incredible. I can literally feel it turn on and turn off if I want to turn it on and turn it off. I can feel it turn on and turn off, and so can she. So can my clients. People notice a difference.
Absolutely.
It's so much more than just sex, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, let's look at plants and animals. You can yell at an animal, and 10 seconds later, they're coming right back to you with unconditional love. They're not hanging on to any of the past. They're showing up, not judging you, and they're fully connecting with you. Now, your ability to receive their connection depends on your points of views and judgments, but they're approaching you from that space of no judgment whatsoever. And that's the space that we can approach other people, and we can give them that gift. And we can show them what is possible. Because we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. We can't just sit back and wait for somebody to show us what's possible. Which leads me into talking about the 2 classes that we're hosting in Dallas, Texas next week, which I'm so excited to come play with you lovely ladies out there.
We are too.
So the first one,
Oh,
Relationships 101, that class is really, it stemmed from my relationship and the inspiration that I receive every single day in my very own relationship. And in the deep conversations that I have with Kumar, we both look at each other and go, well, who taught us these tools? Who taught us the tools to use to make our relationship so brand spanking new every single day, to the point that we can't get enough of one another, and it's been 2+ years glued to each other's hips, and our relationship reality looks completely different than any other relationship out there. And we sit around scratching our heads going, well, how did we learn this? Where did we learn this? Because I know growing up, I never learned any kind of relationship tools, or how to stay in a marriage, how to make your marriage work, how to be what your husband wants you to be, or if you're in a homosexual relationship, how your partner wants you to be. Nobody teaches us that. And if we look, there's a 67% divorce rate. So playing with statistics, 2 out of every 3 marriages are going to end up in a divorce. And then we have to step back and question, well, why is that? And what is contributing to that? So this class is really going to play with that, how to create that magical connection that Donna was talking about, getting out of judgment, letting go of points of views that are actually keeping your relationships less than what they could be. And then I'm going to infuse in a lot of the tools that I use on a daily basis to create that relationship that just keeps expanding on one another, where the unconditional love keeps growing. There's days where Kumar tells me, love me more. And I'm like, I feel like I'm loving you as much as I can, but if there's more that I can love you, show me how. And literally, just like that, I get this download of how much more I can love him, and my heart just burst open, and it's like a brand new love. And I'm like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Like, can I just indulge you? So I'm going to take you down. Yeah, it's amazing. And this is what's possible for everybody. Yeah. We don't have to end up in sexless, passionless, lifeless relationships. We don't have to end up in a relationship where we're going through the day in, day out conundrum, where it's like, hi, how are you? And we're doing the same thing. Your life and your relationship can be full of spice and zest and lust, and full of that orgasmical energy, which will then take your sex life and orgasms to another level. But first, we got to work on that relationship with you. Yes. So this class isn't all about intimate relationships with your lover. It's going to be addressing a lot of what you're doing with your relationship with you. Do you own you? Are you confident? And if not, how is that affecting your intimate relationship? And if you don't have a partner, work on you first so that you can show up in a relationship without any baggage, without any judgment, without any points of views, so that you can create that magical relationship on the next time around. You don't have to wait 20 more relationships to get it right.
Yeah, and real quick too, I remember not too long ago you were coaching me, and it's like I'm in this relationship that's magical, and everything that you're talking about, and we don't have as much time as you and Kumar have so far, but still, consistently, if we notice that things are kind of lulling down, we're like, wait, let's spice this back up. What questions do we need to ask? And sometimes you're right. I can just ask a question, and things just show up. It's not like he even has to give me the answer. It just happens when you ask the question. Mm-hmm. I remember you asking me, so Donna, you spent a lot of time getting to know you and spending time with you and having a relationship with you, and now you're in this relationship. So how much are you allowing this relationship to take away from the time you spend with yourself? And notice, what is it that this relationship is giving you that you've not been giving yourself? And so that was really valuable too. So we can actually use a relationship that's everything we've ever wanted to be and more: nurturing, expansive, happy, all these, sexual, orgasmic, all these things, and we can actually use that too to enhance our own relationship with ourselves, as long as we know how to do that. And that's one of the amazing tools that you teach, is how do we keep being in a relationship with us before our relationship, so we can create an amazing relationship, during an amazing relationship, so we can still create an amazing relationship ongoingly.
Exactly. Well said there. And that's a great point, because a lot of people create a relationship or create a need for a lover or a partner based on what they're not willing to give themselves. So they're basically putting all the responsibility on their partner to give them whatever they're not willing to give themselves. And if you're willing to give you everything, if you absolutely love you to the point that you could be the only person on the entire planet for the rest of your life and be totally fine spending however many years that is with just you, then you're ready to be in a relationship. And that's one of the key concepts in creating an amazing relationship, is you don't need anyone or anything to be happy. You don't need a relationship. If the relationship can expand your life, great. But if it's not, then you have to look at, why is it not expanding my life? So some of the tools I'm going to give people is really how to take the relationship to that next level. I'm going to introduce some basic tantric techniques and concepts so that you can take your sex life and your everyday living to that next level where all of your life can be orgasmical and pleasurable. I'm going to give you tools, tricks, techniques, and tips to, keep that glue alive and sticky, that glue that holds you together where every day you want to be around that person because you enjoy who they are and you contribute to them being more. Not from a place, a great question or a great statement that I say is, Kumar allows me to be me and he contributes to me being more of me. We should never give up who we are to be with somebody else. If we're being with somebody else, they should always allow us and contribute to us being more of us. So I'll give you tools to be able to tap into that and to expand into that where you can contribute to your partner and they can contribute to you and who you are as individuals as well as who you are as a couple. So that's that class. And then on the very next night, we're going to kind of take it to the next level and discuss the female orgasm. Because the female orgasm is very, very important in any relationship. 80% of women judge their body. 43% of women are unable to reach orgasm during sex. And most women can only have a clitoral orgasm. So there's about 10 other types of orgasms that your body is capable of. But this here gets in the way of allowing your body to tap into those amazing capacities that your body has for being orgasmic. So I'm going to give you tools, breath work, and energetic exercises to be able to tap into that orgasmic capacity that your body has, as well as teach you about your body. Looking back over my life when I was a teenager, nobody ever taught me about my body. Nobody ever taught me about my orgasms, my capacity to be a sexual being. Nobody taught me that. So looking at that, how many women are just completely unaware of their own body? Hence their inability to reach that orgasmic capacity that's actually possible for them. So the more you get to know and love your body, the more your orgasmic capacity increases and your orgasms can go to levels that you never knew your body could go there. So with Donna, you've experienced that. You've experienced things that you never knew your body could do, but the moment you just let go and you started loving who you are and getting to know your body, your orgasmic capacity went to a whole nother level that literally shocked you. You're like, holy crap, where did this come from?
It did, and it still does today. I mean, I literally just had something new totally show up last weekend. It's interesting because, like literally every week something new shows up in this area of literal orgasm in my body when I'm, playing with my partner or whatever, just doing things for myself. And it's so interesting because I think, wow, that's the best. I don't know how I can have something more. And then the next thing I know, something more shows up. It's so interesting. And then hearing you talk about there's 10 different ways, there's over 10 ways, I'm like, cool, so that means there's even more. And I know there's always more.
There's always more.
There's always more. There's always more. There's always more. That is not what this reality teaches us at all. And the other beautiful thing, Shelly, I mean, I tell people this all the time because I always let people know that really through your help, I've been able to expand into this space. And now, it was so scary for me to call you. And I remember we were like, let's do a private coaching session. I thought, oh my gosh, I remember telling my husband, it's like, I have no idea what she's going to ask me to do, but what else am I going to do? Am I going to keep living my life like this? I mean, is it worth me letting go of whatever I think the scary thing may happen and just go for it? And I did. I allowed myself to be uncomfortable. I allowed myself to be vulnerable. And the most amazing, beautiful experiences have happened in my life because of it. And it's just, I'm so grateful because I say to people all the time, Shelly is like that sister who's willing to tell you what nobody else will tell you. She's willing to be the space of no judgment so that you don't have to be scared when you're in her presence while she's talking about it. Or if you're even in a room full of a classroom of people, it's like literally you have the capacity to drop all that down so that everyone else can drop it all down and we can all just speak about it. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to worry about what people are going to find out about us or what people aren't going to find out about us or whatever. We don't have to worry about being judged around each other. And it's not like we're not all getting naked and having some kind of orgy, so it's nothing crazy like that. But it's just people talking and being real and being vulnerable and being open and learning and expanding in a very comfortable situation. However, it's putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation that actually allows you to see what judgments you even have that you are required to let go of so that you can expand into this place. So even if it does look scary and uncomfortable, just do it, you know?
Just choose. You got to step outside your comfort zone sooner or later. You know, why live inside a comfort zone? Life and magic truly begins outside your comfort zone. So drop the barriers. Be vulnerable. Like Donna said, there is no judgment here. There are no barriers. The class will be fun. I make it inviting. And my target is really to change how women relate with one another. You know, last week I ran into 3 different people who within 24 hours expressed to me that women are the most hostile towards one another. And I'm like, this has got to change. Why are we hostile towards one another? Why can't we freely and openly talk about these subjects that are so taboo when this is our birthright? I mean, looking at our body part called the clitoris, its main purpose is for pleasure. So we're not choosing to live a pleasurable life, and pleasure has now become something that we have to feel shameful or guilty about, and something that we can't discuss with our girlfriends because it's too taboo and too out there. Why? So let's change that. So Donna and I invite you to come play at the relationship class and the female orgasm class next Tuesday and Wednesday, and they are live streamed, so you can attend online and submit questions. And if you can't attend online at the hour of the class, there is the video recording that you can always watch at a later date. And you can always submit email questions prior to the class so we can address your concerns in the class since you can't be there. So the classes are $60 each, or if you choose to attend both, they're only $100. So how does it get any better than that? $100 to invest in your relationship, your body, your orgasms, your sex life, and all other areas of your life. When I look at that, it's like, well, how much would a divorce lawyer cost? So why not invest in your life and your future now and create the change so you never have to go there, so you never have to end up in a sexless, loveless, passionless relationship, so you never have to sit back wondering, what does a real, true, full-body orgasm look like and feel like? Because I've never had one. So like Donna said, just choose. Choose to step outside your comfort zone. Choose to come play with a group of women who have no barriers, no judgments, and can be vulnerable with one another and speak about topics that nobody else is willing to speak about. Any final comments, Donna?
Well, are the classes for women? Are both classes for women only?
Yes, both classes are for women only. So you don't have to worry about, are men going to be there? I don't want to say things in front of men. I loved creating that sacred space just for women to show up, to express female concerns. And also I give you a lot of tips on how to step more into your feminine energy and how that energy it coincides with orgasmic energy and how you can use both of those to your advantage, again, to change and transform all other aspects of your life.
There's I mean, you just saying that, there's so many valuable secrets that Shelly shares. I'm just like, I could just talk about the feminine energy right now and tell you what an amazing gift that's been to my life, and how having that in my life has allowed me to just have so much more ease and such a greater creative capacity. Anyways, if you come to the class, you get to hear more about the transformation that I've had.
Right? We could keep talking and talking and talking, yeah. But I know you have a client, and I know I need to get going and teach a class. But just come. Just choose to show up, be vulnerable, drop your barriers, and let's explore an area of your life that nobody's been willing to explore with you. And with that, anything can be possible. But you have to show up to be able to see what's possible.
Yep. How does it get better? Thank you, Shelly.
How does it? And thank you, Donna. Thank you for being so vulnerable, so open, and sharing where you've been, where you're at now, and the deep, dark secrets and the insights of your life. Because that truly is the invitation for people. There's a lot of women out there who are experiencing the same thing as you are. So thank you for being that invitation. You are a doll. I absolutely adore you, and I can't wait to come play with you next week.
Me too.
I can't wait to see all the other gorgeous ladies who are going to come join us too. How much fun can we have, and how much can we change in your body and your life and your relationships and your orgasms?
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.